Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blood and Popcorn. I'm TJ Rotell, and with me, as always, the Demogorgon, Denise Pantoja, and the odd movie master himself, Mr. Glenn Akers. Denise, Glenn, happy final Friday of our July of the Living Dead celebration. We did it. We made it through 4 George A. Romero weekends of double features. Started with Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and now 2 of the man's final films, Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead. Guys, happy Blood and Popcorn. Hello, everybody out there in Chatland.
Hello.
Hello. I don't know why I paused there.
Glenn went mute.
Guys, we got a couple movies here that are more on the modern era of the Romero catalog, and pretty good. We'll get into it, but I don't mind these movies. They're not my go-to, but
Yeah, listen, they're not going to match up to, I think, the original 3 because they were made in such a different time and in such a different way. Like we talked last week about how Day was sort of the end of the independent filmmaking where everybody welcomed them with open arms in Pennsylvania, and everybody pitched in and everybody wanted to be a part of it. And that era sort of ended around that time. And there were some changes when this new chapter in the Deadverse came to be, and we'll talk about that very shortly.
Yeah, well, we're going to kick things off with Land of the Dead, which is, as Glenn, you would know, the sequel to Night, Dawn, and Day of the Dead.
Right.
Glenn, did you know that there's a lot of Day of the Dead's original script in Land of the Dead? They took quite a few pieces that we didn't see in Day of the Dead and sprinkled it into Land of the Dead.
I did not know that until we were watching it and you mentioned it, and then I read up more about it.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Ooh, I don't know if I can. You've actually read Day of the Dead script, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I thought, because I'm sorry, you just said you'd read up on it, so I was like, oh, okay, he's got some more info for us.
It's got it.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure the train got pulled, the Dead Reckoning got pulled in from Day. There was the dirty city. It's all overrun with drugs and illegal gambling and shit. But it's on an island, I think, in the original Day of the Dead. Not so much here, but yeah. So the thing about this one is it's got a really big cast. The cast for the time was huge. You got Dennis Hopper. You've got John Leguizamo's in this. That other guy,
Simon Baker,
That
who
guy.
was I'm gonna double check. I don't know when actually he gained super fame with The Mentalist. I don't know if it was right after. So this was, what year was this? This was in
This is '05 or at least in '05.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he had apparently always wanted to work with George Romero. And this was his first horror film. So '05. Yeah, no, this was a few years before The Mentalist. So I think he was doing just fine. He was on his way up, but still probably a fairly sought after actor.
Yeah.
Who was about to reach his peak a few years later. Not his peak, but his bigger role.
And then you've got one Asia Argento.
Asia
bad
Argento.
boy.
I
Yep.
mean,
Daughter of
keeping it
horror
in the
legend
family.
Dario Argento.
Now, a few of the other things about this movie as well, and this just goes back to what I was gonna talk about a second ago. The differences here are pretty major. This was the biggest budget of any of them. That big cast could have had something to do with it.
Oh yeah.
They also, this is the first one that wasn't shot in Pennsylvania. They shot in Canada.
and it shows.
And I think, honestly, I think that it really, it does in a way. I think it affected it. From what I understand from an article that I read, it seemed that there was a bit of studio meddling, like they like to do sometimes. So I think that goes along with some of the things that I was saying in that even though this is not one of the preferred stories in the Dead universe, it is because it's so different. It still has so many of the natural pluses that go along with a George Romero film, being way ahead of his time.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
apparently was also. It was apparently also the first one to ever get released with an MPAA rating.
That's true.
Oh, funny.
That as well.
Which is hilarious that his first one was 2005.
He got around it. Dude found a way. Where there's a will, I suppose.
I mean, it was received well critically.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's just not my favorite one. You know, like I don't love the way the zombies look here. I think this is kind of the birth of the signature Nicotero Walking Dead zombie is birthed from this movie, with like the weird drawn out nose bridge, really accentuated nose piece there, and
the application was too much for me too.
Well, it was just that they all had them, you know. Yeah, they looked very plastic. The zombies did. I mean, they looked more, I guess, realistic than gray paint, but and red paint, but
which we forgave.
Yeah, but
right.
that's one of the things that bothered me about this movie is I wasn't in love with the zombies here. You know, they all felt a little forced, and
that kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the zombies. I mean, the acting is all great. All the zombies are good actors. I just didn't like the direction they went in with them. But all in all, it's a fun movie. It's got some cool effects, and it's got really good acting, and you know, interesting enough characters in Asia Argento. And what else do you really want? You know, I had such a big crush on her when this movie came out. I was like, oh man, that's my dream girl right there, Asia Argento. I can't remember if this was before or after Triple X.
It was before. I think this was probably one of her. I mean, listen, I'm talking out of my ass. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain.
It might have been her first American movie, yeah.
Let's take a look.
Let's see.
I mean, if I would have saw this when it came out, I would have.
05, Triple X was 02.
Shut up. Oh my God, I was wrong. I was talking out of my ass.
Look at that.
I mean, I agree with you, TJ. If I would have seen this when it came out, I would have been in the same boat, Dream Girl.
Oh yeah,
and not just because of last name.
I mean, same here.
I mean, a little bit to get to hang out.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie. It's a pop. This is the most popcorn of the Romero franchise. It's
for sure.
It's actiony, and there's guns and explosions and special effects and rockets and
fireworks,
sky flowers. I really hate. Let me tell you something. Let me clue you in on a little something about your friend, old Jack Burton here. I do not like it when movies that are not in the distant future alter normal words to be different words for fun, calling fireworks sky flowers. I was just why? What?
How far? Yeah, how far?
Why do you need
that far in the future?
Yeah, it's not the year's not 2066 or something.
Right.
Even then,
shut up, Dave.
I mean, 2066. Even then, that we know what the fuck fireworks are called.
You would have to generations would have had to lived and died before you can start calling fireworks sky flowers.
If this was Total Recall and they're on Mars and that's whatever the fuck your Total Recall is in, sure.
also begs the question, where are they getting all these fireworks? Like if this is such a big thing and they're using, like, how many a night do they use when they go out for a run?
Yeah, it's like a fucking 9
We
o'clock, 9 p.m. in Anaheim down there. You know what I'm saying?
running out soon. Oh, I had one more thing to say.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. um, so it was a good movie. It was really well acted. You know what hurt me was the lack of character development. I think that I feel, I don't know 100% sure, but I from the few things I've read and from my gut feeling, because of all this meddling, like he was forced to cut it short. I can't say because of budget, because it was a huge budget, but it was much shorter than the others, much shorter. And a lot of the character relationships felt very rushed.
Yeah.
I didn't get to care about them very much in Land. Like, and then, like, Let My Friends Go. Simon Baker's like, let my friends go. I mean, he just met Asia. And also, why would he put himself at such risk when he's trying to leave the city to shoot a zombie going after that girl? You know what I mean? Like, who he didn't even know. Like, that
Because
was
he's the good guy, but he's got a dark secret. And it's that he
that
killed
we
his
never
brother.
find out. Oh yeah, but it happened to his brother,
Yeah, he's a tough
not
guy.
him.
I mean, I felt like I remember seeing this, and I remember going to theaters like really excited for this.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And being like, fuck yeah, dude, new Living Dead movie.
We're ready.
Oh my God, so excited, like elated. Elation is the only word I can. And I sit down and I watch the movie, and I'm not like upset about it. It's like, you know, like when you're a kid and you get caught drinking by your parents, and they're like, "We're not mad, we're just disappointed." That's what I was for this movie. I was
I don't know what
like,
you're talking about.
I'm not mad at it. Like, it's good. It's just not what I wanted out of my Romero fourth movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. 100%.
you know?
I can follow you. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just I wasn't feeling it.
Did you know there is a prequel video game
Yes.
to this?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Land of the Dead: Road to Fiddler's Green, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
have
played
to
it.
find it. Is it good?
Yeah, I liked it. I actually I think
I wanna play it.
I think I had it on. I
Just
can't remember what I had it on. PS2
Two?
feels like that might be it.
Sure. I want to find this game
or at
now.
worst, yeah.
Yeah, I want to play it.
But yeah, it was okay. But I think you're right, D. I think someone at Universal stepped in and said, "We need this movie to be short. We need it to be quick. You're already over
There's
budget.
all this character stuff.
Like, get rid of this.
Right.
No one cares about these characters. They're here for the zombies, George. They're here for the zombies." And he was probably like, "Whatever, man. I'm old as fuck. Like, I'm not gonna fight Hollywood. I finally got to the show,
Right.
and look, they're fucking up my movie. Do whatever you're gonna do. Like, I've been here before. Fuck off."
I mean, the fact that they would not let him film in Pittsburgh is that right there, you know?
Yeah.
Taking it out of Pennsylvania made it lose some of its magic. And I think that, you know, speaking again totally out of my ass, I feel like that would have been a huge blow as well to somebody who has 100% based his world in this real life world that he knows and that is supportive of him and comfortable to him. And I feel like that that kind of comes through. Like, we joked about it a second ago, but it didn't feel as meaningful as the others, even though it still had an excellent social commentary. The class warfare is again on par for his time and still on par for our time. You know, I mean, his stuff is so timeless. But I would have loved more development. Like, I would have watched that movie for 2.5 hours.
I wonder if there wasn't some, like, night I don't think they wrote a lot of it way before, but like Dawn and Day, they had those scripts for years, and then they worked on both of those movies for months, if not closer to a year. I would imagine this was shot like a real studio movie where they shot it for like whatever 8 weeks or whatever, and like that was it. They didn't shoot it for months on end, take breaks. They didn't have like a script that had been done for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I understood is like basically the remake of Dawn of the Dead did really well, and Universal was like, great, let's go to the OG guy and make a new one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took a lot of his stuff from his Dawn or from his Day script, which is great because there was a lot in there, like you said, that wasn't done. I don't know, but I wonder if there wasn't like a finished 5 years in the making Land of the Dead script like there were with Dawn and Day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, there might have been. I could be wrong, but
I feel like no, there wasn't though, because I mean, like, IMDb is like it's partly based on the original, much longer Day of the Dead script.
right.
So yeah, if
And then like they had to throw in a bunch of action because I assume the studio was like, we need action.
yeah,
That's what this is, because that's what the remake was.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I could
that's
be
what
wrong.
People want. Give the people what they want.
Right.
Fast cuts in action in their zombie movie.
Yeah.
You know what else I think of when I watch this movie? And listen, this isn't a criticism of George Romero or the team that put this together, because I too, as a producer, have fallen prey to this as well. Going from producing on a smaller budget to being given more money than you've ever worked with before, is a real challenge. Like it's a real challenge to do. Like, going from producing film and television to producing stuff for the web at Geek and Sundry to like back to like full bore, like big live event streams for Alienware, like that's bouncing back and forth between millions to tens of thousands to millions. And you're just, it's a different game when you get at that price point, because you need to put yourself in the mindset of, I have to spend this money. Like, because your first instinct is save, like cut corners, like put on the hats. But when you're at that level, producing for one of the biggest studios in the world, you're delegating a lot more. The production team is way deeper. Like all the union crews are way deeper. Like, you've got a dude that picks up sandbags. Like that's the level budget you're at when you're talking about that. And that's a real challenge to pivot to. So I wonder if that didn't play into this a little bit as well. Like, it's such a different animal.
Yeah. Not only that, you're talking about almost the exact same crew that worked on the first three. You go to Canada, you can only bring so many people over because the studio wanted those tax cuts.
Yeah.
And you go from, and I know that we talked about this last week, probably weeks before, and I know that we've had to deal with this in producing our, content for other, studios and whatnot. When you go from casting theater actors, casting the best actors you see offering roles, to casting stars, to casting people for name value, which is not to say any of them were bad, but they obviously cast for name value. When you go from that end to that end, and you have to, I feel like you lose some authenticity.
Well, I have the same problem. I've talked about this before for the new D&D movie that's coming out. Like, I have a problem with it already before even seeing frame one because of the casting. It's an A-list cast of people that I don't know if they're going to fit into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, without making a very specific kind of Dungeons and Dragons movie that I don't think any of us really want. And I think this is kind of in that same vein, like you were saying. It's just,
it makes a different product when you cast for name value versus not talent, but versus connection to the material.
Yeah. Like this movie needed to either be 3 hours long or 2 parts. Like if this movie was made today it would be a trilogy. Like it would be its own trilogy. It's that big of a story. Like you would tell the intermittent piece between
The
Day of the
uprising.
Dead and the fall of mankind and its rebirth in
Mhm.
this uh hey everybody. That's funny.
Okay,
That's
Carrie.
sorry, chat's make me laugh.
Chat's going off.
But yeah, yeah, it's like I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry, I completely lost track now.
That this would be a trilogy.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So this would be a trilogy. Um
It could absolutely be stretched into a.
oh, see, I don't like that language.
Oh yeah.
Nah,
No.
That's gonna get you banned.
womp.
Oh, and the other one too.
Which one?
Um. Well, maybe not. Okay. Sorry, I read it wrong. Anyway, let's get back on track.
Oh, yes. So, like the first one of these movies,
Okay, get in there again, please.
yeah. See you later.
Anyway,
We're banning a bunch of people. Oh, yep, there you go.
there you go.
Damn.
And there you go. Look at this. It's ban fest tonight.
Who knew?
Just gonna keep banning people. Yeah. So anyway, the first of this trilogy I feel like needs to be that piece that goes in between Day of the Dead and where we find ourselves in the future, in this like time jump of, a big montage of whatever happened, and then tell the story to get us into this world.
Yeah, people
Maybe it's
are holing up. They
yeah,
found. Yeah.
that journey to get to this city. Second one maybe about the one that we got, the Land of the Dead, and then
Right.
the third one is a more minimalistic like look at the survivors from that movie.
Yeah. Where do you go from there? Where do you go when you're the world, this glass house that you've created has shattered,
Yeah.
and you have to deal with the repercussions of what has happened um all over again, because that's what they were running away from initially, is the repercussions of whatever brought this whole thing about.
Yeah. And I think that would have been pretty cool to see a bigger story like this. And I think Romero had it in him too. Like that's the
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's the most disappointing part about this.
If he had
is
been
that it's-
allowed, if he had been supported
Yeah.
the way that he should have been.
I mean, we would have saw a lot of it in the original Day,
Yeah.
or at least a lot of the beginnings of that in the original Day,
Yeah.
which is a
It's
shame.
interesting alternate timeline out there somewhere where George
Mhm.
got to make his OG Land of the Dead 200 and some page script, and then we got another trilogy out of Land of the Dead that effectively ended with a Diary of the Dead kind of movie is okay.
This alligator Loki
Effectively.
timeline.
Yes, this is Alligator Loki's timeline. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, great.
Um,
I just finished that yesterday.
Oh, did
yes.
you?
Anyways, not on topic.
No. But yeah, so like I think what's interesting about this one is we start to really see, what we got a taste of in Day of the Dead with Bub and learning how to reacclimate to some degree of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where you start to see them interact with one another and communicate and give orders and follow those orders, follow like a pecking order, a chain of command, and
Yeah.
have find yourself, watching zombies pick up and use guns to shoot people and all kinds of other stuff.
And start to, because before they were going after them for food sources.
Yeah.
But with this, they were going after them for vengeance.
Yeah, it was a
for-
whole thing.
Yeah.
it was to take back their own like agency
Yeah.
as creatures, as you know, as part of this world.
Yeah, well, and I think that's like if towards the end of the movie, we get that scene, where they're taking over the city, they're reclaiming the city, and they're about to get blown up, and the dude's like, no, they're just trying to fucking get by, you know what I mean? Like they're trying
They're
to do
just
their
trying to
thing.
find a place just like us.
Yeah.
Although they just took over your place, but yeah, it's cool. Whatever.
um, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's this movie's an enigma, man. I do like it, and I will end up watching it again at some point. I just wanted so much more out of it. I
Yeah.
think is the way that should have gone
I think it goes back to
for
what
me.
Dee was saying is like it's a lot shorter than the other ones. Like there could have been a lot more because like does our main zombie have a name? Like
Big Daddy Zombie is what he's listed on Wikipedia. Let's see what he's listed on IMDb. Big
okay,
Daddy.
all right. I love
Okay.
that name. He could have had a name. Anyways,
Totally.
like there could have been because it was so short. Like he learned a lot quicker than Bob did, which
Mm-hmm.
I didn't super love. Like I know what they were going for and like why he did it, which I appreciate, and I like the end result. Like basically, he's fairly human, uh, with emotion and vengeance and rightful vengeance, I should say.
Yeah.
Uh, like, and like you said, it sounded like, or it looked like we skipped 2 or 3 movies here between Day and Land, which would have
Mm-hmm.
been great to see like a progression, which I think if Ramiro would have had the time and the money, he probably would have done.
Yeah.
Like to go from Bub, who like really was the first one to learn, really,
Mm-hmm.
to like basically Big Daddy, uh, who like learns how to use a gun and shoot it accurately, sort of, and then has learned enough to teach others. Like that's a large jump.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have seen that, like dawn or I'm sorry day that like the world's already overrun to the point where like basically the world's overrun to accept cities that are surrounded by a bunch of water or rivers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, while you see like factions of zombies basically create their own societies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a really interesting thing to see. Even if, like I would have watched a whole on movie if there wasn't humans in it.
I think that'd be a really interesting like epilogue film, like real artsy, like go back to black and white, shoot it on
Sure.
fucking film, and like just like, even if it's a short, that just shows like a day in the life of the living dead.
Yeah.
Call it
I would
Life of
watch
the
the hell out of
Living
it.
Dead.
Mm-hmm. Um, so another interesting thing about this movie, is that there were a ton of cameos.
Oh yeah.
Ton of cameos. Um, we've talked about what worked for the film. We've talked about what didn't work for the film. So let's talk about some of the interesting stuff. Unless y'all have anything else to.
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay. So, and I didn't see this, but it looks like Bub actually makes an appearance at the beginning when Cholo, also great name, is taking the box of champagne from the fridge. It's Bub that lunges at him. You can see his collar still intact from the original Day of the Dead, according
Oh,
to
cool.
IMDb. Now I'm gonna have to rewatch that and check it out. I feel like did we know that Simon Pegg and and Nick Frost had
I did.
cameos? Did we know
Yeah,
that?
I knew about that. I think it's in the photo booth, right?
Yeah, take a picture with a zombie.
Mm.
Hmm. And then obviously we saw Savini in his same biker getup as Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
There was also
George made a sort of cameo.
yeah. Go ahead, talk about that while I find something else.
He was the puppeteer when you're like on the street with the normal people, the not high society people. he was basically, I think he was the one that said "you stinking zombie" or something. I think he was the puppeteer that did that. Like that was his voice, and I think he was actually puppeting the puppet.
Yeah, he said something. IMDb has something. I don't know where it is.
I think it was something
that
along
deep Romero meta where he's
Right.
pulling all the strings.
That's nice.
I think he said something along the lines of like "you stinking zombie" or something like that. It's very brief, and you don't really see it, or you don't see him definitely.
Says, "Take that, you smelly zombie."
There you go.
I also, I didn't love, and I don't know why, but I didn't love the nickname that they ended up giving them, Stenches. It's weird
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, like who thinks up these cutesy names, and then who makes them into law?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. So here we go. The amputee who played the legless zombie climbing on the back of Dead Reckoning, his name is David Campbell, and he was also in the Dawn of the Dead remake as the squished zombie. I thought it would be that guy, but I don't
So
know.
did I.
They call him the squished zombie, so
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. In later interviews, and this could also be indicative of how things were going, George Romero hinted that Dennis Hopper's cigar budget was larger than the original Night of the Living Dead.
I saw that. It might be true.
I wouldn't be surprised. Although I don't have any like personal experience
Hollywood, baby.
to speak of.
Right. I mean, he was clearly the name. He might have written that into his contract, that like he had to be smoking at all times.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah.
That
That's so
seems
funny.
like
Surprised.
a Dennis Hopper thing. I mean, Arnold did it on the fourth Batman.
Oh, really?
I forget who it was. I think it was Bon Jovi gave him a box of these cigars, and he thought they were great. And he was just like, "I'm the star. I get to smoke this during the scenes." And they're like, "All right, whatever.
They're like, fine.
Sure, you're getting $25 million for this movie, anyways. Do what you want."
Do whatever you want, bud.
Anyways, not related to the Dead, but
Still a good,
Hollywood
a
cigar
good
stories.
anecdote. Gotta love him.
that sounds like a book.
I think Dennis Hopper's character was really interesting and kind of fun at times. I think when shit's starting to hit the fan and he caps that dude and then gets all bummed out about it afterwards.
Right.
That reaction
the
is
funniest things.
so good. Ooh, might not have done something had I known.
Right. But he's
That
so
was great.
chill about it. Like, oh, all right.
He's like, ah, crap.
Still gonna take my bag of money somewhere else.
What was some memorable moments for you guys from the movie?
That for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the gore, the eating. I can't name anything specifically because there's a lot of it. I thought was really good, really top notch. That I really enjoyed. I mean, I don't want to say them walking out of the river, but like, it is.
I was gonna say that too. I hate you.
I mean that's on the poster, so like,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
I like the moment that he picks up the jackhammer and he's starting to get it, and then it gets unplugged, and then it's a very telling moment in that he's come so far, but he still has so much further to go, and he still doesn't have that reasoning
True.
to put two and two together. That was really cool.
I agree. I like that too. I also like because it's a very normal human reaction. Like if you're vacuuming or something, and you unplug it, and you just get the wash face of like, fuck.
Or actually, even sometimes you're like, what the fuck happened? And
You're
it takes
right.
a second to realize, yeah, it probably got unplugged.
You're like, oh, the lights are still on. Okay, I didn't blow a
I
break
didn't lose
or what.
power.
Right.
Maybe he's not even that far off.
That's super funny.
What about you, TJ? What's
Um, well, I think some of my favorite parts. Obviously, my favorite part in the movie is that Dennis Hopper moment. I think is probably the number one for me.
for sure?
But I really liked getting to see the world
Hmm.
that I'd read years ago from the Day of the Dead, like collector's edition DVD, where the script was. Oh no, we had some people being very rude and saying some very nice things in chat. So
Yes.
they got super quick banned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, none of that kind of talk here. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, some of the phrasing, it might have been bots. Like I really don't know.
Um,
It could have been something writing
I
weird.
mean, I suppose.
Interesting bots, if they are.
Yeah,
Yep.
but oh god, I forgot what I was talking about again.
Favorite parts.
Oh yeah,
The script, seeing the script
getting to
come to
see
life.
the script come to life a bit and see the Dead Reckoning. It was not what I had thought what I had envisioned
Mm-hmm.
years before. Um, but getting to see like the slums and like how like the gambling and all that shit come to life. Um, it was great not really getting to anything about you. Oh, this. But yeah, I think that and I did really like all the cameo stuff. I remember when the movie was coming out, reading about some of the cameos that were going to be in it and getting stoked to try to find them. And then afterwards, I think I remember like immediately like we went and tried to look up who all was in what.
It was so long ago. I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah, let's just that's fine that happened that way. That's how I choose to remember it, and that's how it shall be remembered.
It's
Mm-hmm.
fair.
Did anyone have like a favorite character or a favorite zombie?
Um.
Ooh.
Hmm.
I think honestly, my favorite zombies were the not puppets, but like they weren't actually humans. Like they were clearly like super decomposed. Like they looked like the cab driver from Ghostbusters. Like those, I guess they were puppets. You know what I mean? Like there were a few throughout the movie. Like they're super emaciated, like just
Yeah,
like skeletons with a bit of flesh on them.
Yeah,
I think
I know
those
which
are
ones
my
you're talking about.
favorites just because it's a practical effect and I'm a
Hmm.
sucker for that.
And it shows the progression too of the decomposition as well.
For sure. To be fair, that's also my favorite. Ghost from Ghostbusters is the cab driver who's a puppet clearly.
Yeah,
oh yeah, he's great.
he is great.
Just dropped a poll in chat for Land or Diary. If you've seen these
Mm.
movies and would like to vote on which one you preferred or neither, there's a poll in chat. I'm gonna go
Land.
vote
I am gonna
Land for
What
you.
about
say, yeah, I'm gonna say, let's see.
I actually like Diary of the Dead, even though it's much flawed. I like
you like it more than Land?
I
I
do. I do.
I'm conflicted.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I sure do.
Interesting.
I'm a Diary of the Dead fan.
I
I'll get into why when we cross over into that one.
I shouldn't have voted, but I actually really liked Cholo. Honestly, I feel like he had the most depth of
Hmm.
any of the characters. He's like he's your typical like gray area guy who's like, I'll do whatever I can to help this guy out because he's gonna help me out and I'm gonna get all this money and
Yeah,
I'm gonna be highfalutin. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna make it. Like he worked his
Sure.
way up in really shitty ways by getting rid of people, but he worked his way up, right? And then
yeah,
Dennis Hopper spits in his face. And then he's like, oh, okay, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to take your shit and you better give me my money or you're going to get like blasted. So I appreciated like you don't know why Riley is leaving. I mean, I guess he could be just sick of the racket, but there's just no information on this dude.
yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
He's the
very
lead.
mysterious.
He's the
He's the
protagonist of the
lead.
movie.
Asia Argento. I mean, like it's real brief. It's like, hey, I was gonna join the military, but they decided that I had better use as a prostitute. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's like glossed over.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Because we don't have time. We got to get to the zombies. We got to get to the big action sequence at the end with the bombs.
I
Yeah.
wanted her to be my favorite character, but like she wasn't, because there. I'm sorry, but there wasn't anything there.
Yeah, there just wasn't enough for me to care about.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, and then him getting shot, and then him getting bitten. He's probably the only character I had empathy for,
Yeah.
to be honest. And then he goes back, and then you're like, fuck yeah. Okay, at least he's gonna go back, and he's still gonna like get the guy who was totally screwing his life over.
Yeah, and John Leguizamo is great, man. What a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
That dude's crazy versatile, and like on top of being super funny, like he's really, really good with drama. Like as bad a movie as the Happening was, John Leguizamo's acting in that movie was really solid. And then like his shit in John Wick is really cool.
Yep.
He's just really great. Looks like Land of the Dead won with 2 votes.
Nobody else.
Where was this poll?
It was in chat.
In Twitch chat. That's cool.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 recommend.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I recommend them both.
I recommend them both.
I would Land.
See, I think I like. Well, I'll wait until we get to Diaries.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Wait,
Sure.
who's your favorite character, TJ?
My favorite character is probably Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's such a crazy, eccentric, rich character that like he makes such a good villain.
Typical, man.
Like super, super classic villain, rich white dude, like keeping everybody down, like real piece of shit. Like in the wrestling world, we call him a heel. He's a great heel.
I mean, isn't
He's
he
super
McMahon in this
charismatic.
though?
Kinda, yeah. McMahon's a heel.
100%.
I mean, he's at the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
Super
No,
heel.
no. I just thought it was a lot of fun.
I had
character.
trouble with him and Leguizamo scenes not seeing Mario Brothers.
Oh my god.
That's in the IMDb trivia.
that's
that was
so
the second
funny.
film they were in together.
It's not
Yeah,
their
he
fault.
was
It's just like
Bowser.
they both were in that very darkly lit turd.
Hey, you take that back. That movie's classic.
Sure
Captain Lou Albano. No, Captain Lou Albano was in the cartoon series. He was the live action for the animated series.
Another
Anyways,
another
if he
little
would have, if Hopper would have had the same hair, that would have been fantastic.
Oh yeah, the
Anyways.
super tight cornrows.
Yeah, that were blonde.
Yeah, platinum
oh
blonde.
boy.
Mm.
I guess that'll be on our other podcast about video game movies.
Yeah, that's
No.
nerds and popcorn.
No.
So another little, actually, speaking of video game movies, an interesting bit of trivia is that George wrote a rejected script draft for Resident Evil in 1998, which featured popular characters from the original game. Among them, Albert Wesker, who Sean Roberts plays later in the Resident Evil franchise. Sean Roberts being in both Land and Diary of the Dead as 2 completely different characters. So that's interesting little tidbit of information for everybody.
I remember hearing this when it was before Resident Evil came out.
Yeah.
That like Ramiro was writing it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Because like clearly Resident Evil 1 and 2 are based on Ramiro movies. I mean, even the creators were like, "We clearly," and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
I'm not going to super hate on the first Resident Evil,
Second
but
one was
if
a little sticky.
Ramiro could have done it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would have taken place. I bet it wouldn't have taken place in the Hive. I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have been
probably not.
underground. I feel like we would have gotten a good and proper, like we probably would have gotten a better version of Resident Evil 2,
Yes.
which would have been
Yeah.
fucking rad.
Yeah, if Ramiro would have directed it, it would have been the game Resident Evil 2,
Yeah.
which is just it's a haunted house basically.
Hey, Don't ruin it for me. I'm still only on the first Resident Evil game. I went
But
3 to
you're playing the
1.
remakes, though.
Yeah, she's doing one remake
Well,
every
the
2 years.
remake.
So the
Listen,
show's gonna run
really
forever.
one is pretty hard. Listen, it is giving me a run for my money. Okay.
I never actually played the first one. Does it have liquors in it?
Does
Or
it
is
have?
that
I haven't seen any liquors. I was like, liquors. I was like,
that's
there's
what they're
bottles in a
called?
bar. No, I know what you're talking about. They have liquors in 3 for sure.
But they show up in 2 in the original series, in the PS1 games.
Okay, bro, haven't played 2 yet. I played 3
Oh,
first. I'm doing 1, then I'll do 2, then 4, then 5, then 6. Listen, I played 3 on a whim, and then I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to play them all. So that's where we
okay. That's fair. I get that.
are.
I played 2 first in the PS1 era. And I was like, oh shit, I need to play 1.
I haven't played any of them, hardly really ever. I don't. I just had a hard time with those games.
They
I,
are very difficult,
I have a
they
very
are.
especially
short
They
1.
are.
attention span when it comes to video games. Like if I'm not entertained, I lose interest real quick, and I'll just drop the game.
I played all the way through 5, which is when they turned it into like an action game,
Oh, really?
and I stopped playing them.
That was that.
Though I will say, I think 4 would make it a fantastic movie.
Well,
Well,
they're
we're getting a
remaking
reboot,
Resident
right?
Evil. Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, we've got a reboot coming.
Cool.
A Resident reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm excited for, I guess. Like
Who's
I like
doing
the
it?
franchise. I don't know who's doing it.
I don't either.
I mean, it's probably people who own it, so Screen Gems, I would assume.
Okay.
I would guess, right? Like Sony Screen Gems.
I
Yes,
don't understand.
yes,
Like
good
they
call. Resident Evil.
ooh, that is good.
Um,
Copyright that name.
but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Like whatever it is, whatever it comes out to be, I'll go and see it because it's another zombie movie, and it'll be. I'm sure it'll be fine at the very least.
Like it should have been. We don't have to go on Resident Evil, but like all they would have had to have done is just put dialogue to the game story, and
Yeah,
you would have had
Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah. Listen, and we will get to them because I I never played the games until recently, so I really really liked the movies. I very much enjoyed them.
yeah,
But okay, should we do last thoughts on
yeah.
Land?
I think so. I think we've talked enough about Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead.
I'll give my last thoughts. I've got some last thoughts.
Do it.
Yeah.
Final thoughts and thinkings. Like if you haven't seen it, watch it. You know, I recommend it. It's get some popcorn and dim the lights and strap in for an hour and a half worth of zombie movie. That should have been 6 hours long. Good acting, good effects. Even though I'm not a fan of them, they're really good. It's the design that I don't like, not the quality. The quality is unquestionable. But yeah, it's good. It's worth a watch. Not my favorite Living Dead movie, but worth a watch. D, how about you?
I would agree. Definitely worth a watch. Because even though there are a lot of things that made it different and pulled it away from the original feel of the first 3, it's still very classically Romero and still has a very spot on assessment of where this class division can take us, how far it can go. I mean, it's a classic rich, usually white men of power who will protect their personal interests at any cost, at absolutely any cost. And we're seeing that now. You know what I mean? Like on an epic level.
Oh yeah,
Have seen that in the last couple of years. Like people are really, really dropping. Like they're all out of fucks to give. They're not trying to hide as much anymore,
yeah.
I
which
say
is kind
protect
of
and flaunt.
yeah, it's kind of scary how they're not really trying to hide it anymore. So it is
Hashtag dick spaceships.
It is a very powerful social commentary. So yeah, definitely watch.
Glenn, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's my least favorite of the four in succession that are his. That isn't really a slight, because I think Dawn is one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
Yeah.
I think Night is one of the most important horror movies ever made and good. I've actually had a more renewed. That doesn't make sense.
Or a rejuvenated.
I like that. A reanimated.
Oh.
Appreciation for Day. I liked it, but I liked it more this time than I think I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
It's my least favorite of those four, next to those three. But I still like it. It's definitely worth a watch. I don't dislike the the design of the zombies, I think, as much as you do, TJ. I don't like them as much though, as the other three. But I will say that the gore effects outside of that, and the zombie puppets, like I said earlier, were really, really well done. And even in the designs we don't really care for, it's well done. It's just it's a physical design choice we don't really care for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if you go into a bright yellow kitchen, you're like, why did you paint this yellow? You're just like,
but the paint job's beautiful.
But why?
You're right. Yeah, it's like perfect lines.
Not a line anywhere to be found. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. It's kind of like, man, I would have liked to seen the 2 or 3 movies that would have been between this and Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely worth watching. If you're going to watch it, watch the unrated version, because there's more gore and guts and whatever. And that's honestly what Ramiro wanted to do. I don't know. I didn't talk to him personally, but of course he fucking did. He didn't release the other 3 with a rating. He lost half his budget on Day to make one without a rating. So watch the unrated version. That's what he wanted.
This is very true.
This is true, yes. Okay, so that's Land of the Dead. We're going to move on to Diary of the Dead after this short break. Stick around. Plenty more blood and popcorn to come. And we'll be right back. And we're back. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We've got, if you're just joining us, we just got done talking about Land of the Dead, and we're about to shamble on over to Diary of the Dead for
What you did there.
our last July of the Living Dead double feature in celebration of the man, the myth, the legend, late, the great George A. Romero. Denise, Glenn, welcome back. Hope you had a good break. Hope everybody got to go get some snacks. Or it's exactly like The Notebook with, yeah. I think actually Ryan Gosling's in this movie, if I'm not mistaken. Big fan of Pennsylvania Ryan Gosling.
Lead zombie.
I laughed, but I've never seen it.
The Notebook? Oh, it's so good. It's a
Glenn.
tearjerker. We'll do it one night.
No.
Don't hate, bro.
Sorry, I'm burping a bunch. I just cracked a delicious Corona Premier. Because it's my birthday
Will
weekend,
be.
so fuck
Will.
it, you know?
Not sponsored, but we are open to the sponsorship.
Someday you're going to see a sick Corona Premier logo in the top right-hand corner.
Oh, that's interesting.
But yeah, welcome back, everybody.
Some actors just take it.
Yeah, like him and Shia LaBeouf, man. I heard Shia LaBeouf let a zombie bite him.
On Dawn of the Dead, the remake, they have a fake behind the scenes where they like brought in real dead actors to play the dead.
That's funny.
Like, that's funny. Watch that if you have the Blu-ray of it.
I don't know what I have anymore. All I know is I have an itch, and the only way to scratch it is to talk about Diary of the Dead. Guys,
Now you're gonna say Corona Premiere there. All right.
You need to take this, TJ, because this is your jam.
Yeah. You should,
So in a world where we're being kind of hit from all ends on found footage horror, George Romero decides to take a stab at things like social media and YouTube and vlogging. And we get a found footage zombie horror movie that takes place in Romero's Living Dead universe. Now, the interesting thing about this one is this shows us a modern version of the origin of the movies. Now, like, because all of these movies took place over various timelines, like 65 and 70s and 80s and 90s and 20s, whatever, I still all consider them to all be happening at the same time. And that's why I think that this one still works with the timeline set forth by Night. It's just another story in the universe of this franchise. And we've got a bunch of film students out in the woods making a horror movie when the zombie apocalypse hits, and through sheer madness and will for extra credit in his college course, these kids record the zombie apocalypse and upload it as survival tips to like YouTube. It's an interesting movie. It's got some really interesting characters, some ones I really like, some ones I don't like so much. But it's shot, as well as can be for a found footage movie, I thought.
We have a little bit of a plug. This was shot with the Panasonic HVX.
200, yeah.
We own a Panasonic HVX.
Yeah.
I wanted to own that camera. Whoo, boy, did I want to own that camera.
I still have one. I still have mine. It's in perfect condition.
Yeah, I don't want it anymore.
You sure you don't want it? It's a tank. I'll tell you, like, if I was ever going to shoot like documentary footage in a harsh environment, I would take the HVX.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that thing's a fucking tank. But yeah, that's one of the cameras they use to shoot this. And it feels very much like a home movie. It's got that vibe. It's a little heavy-handed on like the pointing a camera at society. Oddly enough, we find ourselves yet again, prophetic George, in a society where everyone's got a camera in their hand, and we're recording every single thing that we do. Oddly enough, becoming zombies ourselves to our devices. The there's a great piece of art, and I don't remember the name of it, and I don't remember the artist, but it's a bunch of people who look like zombies in mass staring down at their cell phones, like reflecting light back in their face. It's such a great piece.
Yes, if anybody finds it or finds the artist, please let us know.
Yeah, put it in the Discord, you know?
I mean, go to a concert.
Yeah.
Who's watching the concert when you're there anymore?
They're just
That's what I'm
recording.
Where
saying,
they,
yeah.
they just,
That's it. You're watching it through a phone. It's the craziest thing to see.
or if they're an older generation, they have an iPad because
Yeah.
for reasons.
There you go. Get one of these.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I know, obviously, I think you both voted Land of the Dead over Diary of the Dead.
Yep.
So I would like to hear like your thoughts on what you didn't like about it.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I don't like found footage, period. There's a few exceptions, but I don't like it. It's a style that is grating to me. I can't stand shaky cam for no reason.
It's your film school background. You're so bougie.
I don't fucking care.
Glenn is super bougie.
It's not fun to watch.
I mean, often. Oh, so you hated Cloverfield.
That's one of the ones I like.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
I
shaky
love
camera
Cloverfield.
footage. I mean, listen, but if he's complaining about shaky camera, fucking like that was mostly shaky camera footage.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Taking
arguing
effect
that.
rounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm not being a hypocrite, sort of.
Fucking hypocrite.
It was
The
also like
shakiest camera footage ever.
it was also like the one that really like pushed
Kicked it off?
shaky cam into where it went and hasn't totally died as it should have. But it also ushered in just like normal traditional movies that weren't found footage that were just like, oh, let's not move the camera correctly. Let's do this the whole time.
There he goes.
Yeah.
That's the shaky
And I
cam.
like fucked up my frame. Anyways. Oh, I did fuck up my frame.
Yo,
Oh,
Mac
you
Morden.
monster.
What's up?
Anyways. I didn't love all of the acting.
Well,
either.
yeah. And that's
That
fair.
was truly my biggest complaint.
Yeah, that's
Like-
very fair to say.
Like,
'Cause
I know
it's
I
not
went into
great.
it. No, it's not. I went into it like knowing it's found footage and it's early found footage, which I'll give credit to. Like it's not like 2014, like we're doing a found footage movie. Cool, good for you.
Yeah.
We've seen that a billion times already. Not that you can't have good found footage movies. It's possible. The acting, the one that really got me the most was the professor.
Oh, really?
you didn't like him?
He's so decent.
I didn't like him.
Listen, he had very amazing things to say.
Yeah, I know. Like, give him a fucking half skull and just have him do this the whole time, and I'd have been like, cool.
Glenn hates the British.
I don't hate the British. I think the British have a great accent. Like, I watch a lot of British TV and movies. I think female British accents are very attractive. To me, it just seemed like he was like, I'm doing Shakespeare. And it's just like, no, you're not.
Listen,
But-
he's like a film. He's a film.
No, I know. And I
Yeah,
think that's
he's
what he
the
was
film
I think
guy.
that's what he was doing. And I totally get it. Like it was a choice. I just didn't like the choice.
Right.
That's fair.
And I'm not saying he isn't a good actor. I'm sure he is. And I don't want to get in too much into the like how they made this. But I believe didn't they hire a lot of stage actors for this movie?
Did they? I honestly
Or did
don't
you-
know.
It says that in IMDb. As this film was shot in long takes, he wanted to cast stage actors who could carry it. I don't know that that served him as well as it did in previous movies.
I don't either. Because they cut the other movies. Like movies work because of all of the things.
It's not just that.
The various good takes being assembled together to make one good movie.
Right, and then you cut from like when it's not a great part of the. Yeah. Anyways, that's another reason I don't love found footage is it's reliant on long takes when like it doesn't work in cinema. Like it's just not how cinema works. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Usually, there are long take movies that work, but they're cheated usually. Anyways, I didn't hate this movie, which I'm making it sound like I do.
Usually do.
I liked this way more than the Day remake.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
Despite
travesty.
it having a fucking Oscar winner in it, right? Did Servina?
Did we ever?
Did she win?
I don't
an
think
Oscar
she
winner?
won.
She was nominated.
I don't know.
Wasn't
Let's
she?
see. I'm gonna look it up.
Was
I'm
she
gonna
the girl in
put
American
this to
Beauty?
bed.
She is.
Oh,
She's
she wasn't-
fantastic in that movie. From a guy who started his career as a stage director.
She did.
I thought she
won,
did.
She won for Best Supporting Actress. Holy shit.
Wow, look
She
at
is
that.
really good in that movie. She is a really good actress. I don't want to go back on Day, but like script.
It's a long story.
And terrible costuming.
It's complicated.
But for her, probably because they don't make military outfits for her. She's a tiny human. Anyways, nothing against stage actors or stage direction. It's a style I don't like. Like some people despise watching black and white movies or can't watch musicals. It's just a thing I don't care for.
It's okay, Glenn. Everybody's got their thing.
But I do like how he did try to do this like full circle thing with the dead, because this is supposed to be the same day as Night of the Living Dead happens.
I would
It
assume
is.
so.
Even though
yeah.
even though it's modern, I get it.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
it is. It says, I mean, I don't know where they got the information, but in IMDb, it literally says it begins the same day as Night of the Living Dead.
I think it's scripted that way, which is really, really interesting.
I love that.
I think a lot of it would have been helpful if it would have had more budget.
Well, it was 2 million. And that there is, when they're in the warehouse, fueling up with the RV, the newsreel that they hear in the background or the news footage is from the original.
Oh,
Like-
very cool.
I've talked a lot about how I don't like this movie. I haven't looked at the time, so I want to go on to you. But if we want to talk about cameos, I'm sure you already saw this, though, and looked it up. There are a fuck ton of cameos in this, but they're all audio.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And of
But
course,
anyways.
George was in it. You know.
Well, shit, yeah, of course, George was in it. But that's why I didn't like it, which I hate that we started with me.
Oh yeah, look at that. Stephen King, Guillermo del Toro, Wes Craven, Simon Pegg, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. What a star-studded
I read that before,
uncredited guest roster.
couldn't pick out any of them.
Yeah. I'll have
Yeah,
to watch
that
it again
tracks.
and listen.
Yeah.
That tracks.
You do that and give me time codes. Anyways.
Okay.
What about you? Dee, what's your thought on this? Diary of the Dead.
So, yes, the acting was bothersome for me. Especially
not alone.
some particular characters were worse than others.
Mm.
I didn't mind the professor because I thought he was hammy, and I can see that person existing in real life.
Yeah.
I found, and she's a working actor and she's great, and I'm sure she's great in other stuff she's done. I've never seen her in anything, but I found a very high level of a lack of authenticity from Deborah. it bothered me a lot. A lot.
Same.
Okay, great. I'm glad I'm not alone there. But also a lot of the, again, too short.
Yeah.
I did not really empathize with any of the characters. I didn't have enough character development. Although I gotta say, I was real freaking interested. Like I would have watched to see what happened to Tracy after she takes off with the RV. I'd have been real interested to see that. Um, a lot of the story stuff, I was just like, she wasn't even there with them. They go to the college to pick Deborah up. And then for some reason, her need to get to the family, even though she's not part of this group, it's not her RV, supersedes anybody else's. Like completely and utterly takes over the whole thing. And she's like the star of it. And then like it's just like she says twice, if it didn't happen on camera, it didn't happen, right, Jay? Like I'm like, okay, you only need to say that once. And then the Elliot, I was thinking too, it was funny because we were driving into Pennsylvania and we passed by Danville. And I remember Elliot saying, I'm from Danville and it's on the way. And if you don't find folks don't mind, I'd like for you to drop me off. Completely blow past his house. Nobody drops Elliot off at his place. We go right to Scranton.
Which is super not Scranton.
Which is super not Scranton. And then head over to Ridley's house. A lot of the, and it's weird because I have forgiven some of the more slightly melodramatic acting from the past, maybe because I saw it in the present time and I saw it in the current time that it was coming out. I was like, no, I will not forgive this. I can't remember where else I was going with it, but yeah. Some of the, and it could have been because it was like 07, but some of the CG was not great.
Yeah.
So those were my issues.
Agreed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You both present very good arguments as to the flaws of this movie, because to be honest, there are many. Like, it's not a perfect film by any stretch. I still really like it because I think, again, like I find interest a lot of times in movies that I think I can make.
Yeah.
Movies that inspire
100%.
me.
Yeah.
This movie, when it came out, inspired me to be like, oh yeah, like listen, George Romero is in my top 3 directors of all time.
Same.
Like,
totally.
So no diss on George Romero. I don't want that smoke from the Romero camp. But this felt like a movie that I could make, and that got me excited. And because of that, I watched it and I was like, I saw myself in that movie and I was like, yeah, like I could do this. This would be.
It
really
does.
Cool
It gets the creative juices going. I 100% agree with that. And it like again, the man is ahead of his time.
Yeah.
While it was incredibly accurate for the time, holy shit, can you imagine like now the TikToks that would be coming out?
Oh my
like,
God.
Fuck, because we like in a lot of ways, there's so much conflicting information. There's so much misinformation coming from the bad camps that you have to be able to try and combat it with information that will help save people's lives. We're literally doing it right now with COVID. So, I mean, the story, the idea is absolutely, it's chef's kiss as usual with George Romero.
Yeah.
For several of these reasons that we mentioned. And again, I think these last couple of movies, I feel like his hands were tied in so many ways because he wasn't making it on his terms. He was able to come back to Pennsylvania, I believe, but he wasn't making them completely on his terms. When you have a lot of studio interference, it is very, very difficult. And we know that.
Yeah.
Shit, we've had to repaint an entire set 12 hours before we actually shot.
Oh my God.
Because of a tiny
Overnight
shift in a shade of blue.
Brutal.
Like these issues are real.
Yeah.
But
Could have done that in post, but
but the overall idea was fabulous. Some of the execution was a little wonky, but I still watch it several times, in the last few years. I don't think we've watched it. It's not something I necessarily watch. I watched it a lot more a few years ago, and I'll probably get back to watching it because it's a great piece to get you excited about the concept.
Yeah, I'll tell you
making your
right
own
now,
movie.
man. Like I consume a lot of TikTok, and some of the stuff that comes across my For You page is like natural disaster content. And like, just last night I saw a bunch of footage from the tornadoes that hit Pennsylvania, and people like still recording as the buildings being ripped apart. And it just makes you think, like, in that moment, like, because they talk about it in the movie, they talk about why the filming is taking place and how addictive it is and how easy it is to point that camera at danger or at sadness and see the world through that lens. And here we are today, 2021, and I'm watching a woman scream bloody murder as a tornado throws a car across a parking lot. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, we were in a tornado because I think it's only a tornado when it makes ground, right?
correct.
So we weren't in a tornado. We were in a tornado warning, but we were like dancing on the razor's edge of a tornado. And let me tell you something. I can tell you this with full honesty. It never crossed my mind to grab my phone and start recording. I had one thought in mind, and that was get my animals, get my family, get them underground as best we can, and hope to God that we come through the other end of this. But that's a lot of society now. It's their first instinct. Grab your phone, point your camera. They're guns. They're guns.
I wonder if that isn't because you're a content creator. Like, you've created a lot of content that's good or great.
I mean, come
and
on,
not
brother.
every-
I have to, like, oversell it.
Well, whatever. Sometimes you're my boss. But not everybody has. But we live in a world where, like, you have to document everything, and I'm guilty of this
Yeah.
as well. As a content creator and a normal layman, human, not content creator person, like I feel the need to like document everything. So I wonder if that isn't why there's such a rise in that like need over one's self-preservation. Like, and not for nothing. Like, I remember, because I grew up in the Midwest, closer to Tornado Alley than Pennsylvania, like watching dumbasses out there with like giant cameras on their shoulders, like, I'm gonna get this. Like, and it's just like, why? You're gonna die. Like, that car you see in the air is gonna hit you. You're dumb.
Yeah.
It makes great footage, but like
Yeah.
people want to make crazy content.
They want it now, especially nowadays. They want to make a name for themselves. They want to go viral. They want to have the impact on society, on social media. But think about also how important it has been. We've been able to hold people accountable for their actions, or at least try our fucking damnedest. We've been able to
Sometimes.
yeah. We've been probably able to learn a lot about storms because of, the different angles of footage that people were like, it starts from way back when, you know what I mean? It's wild. It's mostly for selfish reasons probably, but it somehow has become something of a cornerstone in that if I can't do anything to help, at least I can document. And that's exactly what Jason says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to physically help, because documenting does help.
I mean, it's crazy because like this came out in 07.
08. I think it was released
Something like
in
that,
08.
yeah. 07, 08.
Whatever it
Something
is.
like
Like
that.
we had
07.
cameras on our phones, but they were hot garbage.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I remember it's fucking LG gonna sue me. The NV2 I had that had a
Yeah.
.05 megapixel camera that had like a shutter you could swipe open,
Oh my god. What are the megapixels on cameras now?
like
On
12,
both
13,
cameras.
14. Which like I remember when I was in college, I wanted to get a real DSLR that I think was 8 or 10 megapixels,
Mm.
like from Canon or Nikon.
Yeah.
And like that shit was like $3,000, like way more than the HVX,
For just the body.
way more than the XL1. Yeah, no lenses, and they were amazing at the time because again, like your camera phone that had keyboards on them still, like again was like less than a megapixel, and like they show that in this movie, like that's the era of this movie, even to the point where like she holds her flip phone sideways, and then like rightfully so, she shot it sideways, which no human on earth at the time was doing with a flip phone. Uh, I never saw a horizontal video
Ever.
on a flip phone ever. Yeah, like, and they were trying to document it then. Like again, Ramiro 10-ish years ahead of his time
Yeah.
in basically every
At
movie.
least.
Like I don't want to crap on Land of the Dead, but I wouldn't say it was like prophetic like the other three were, and this was.
Not as much, yeah, because I mean the class warfare has existed for so long.
For sure.
It was definitely incredibly because when was that? What was that? That was 05, you said?
05, yeah.
Yeah. It was just shining a spotlight on it again, you know.
I mean, like Night clearly was like, this is the late 60s.
Yeah.
And then it got released literally on the day MLK got shot. Like, holy shit. Like, that's like scary prophetic. And then Dawn, the rise of consumerism about 10 years before the 80s. And now we're watching shows that like glorify the 80s and it's mall culture, Stranger Things, everything else that wants to be Stranger Things currently. Day of the Dead, like Land didn't do it as much, but like again, he comes back 2 years after Day or Land and does Diary, where we're all like, oh, what's going on in the world? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that he saw that.
And it
100%.
feels that way. Like this one, you know, being that I'm, you know, I was born in 82, like I wasn't around for the release of any of these. The day I was 3 years old, right? So like I
Right.
clearly I didn't go see it at 3.
Hope not.
So Diary, like Diary did for me what Land failed to do.
Yeah.
Which was give me a Romero movie. Something that felt true to the man's directorial style.
Yeah.
And like I said, it felt like Land of the Dead, good movie, but it felt like a movie, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Diary of the Dead felt like a story that was
wasn't
using
an
film
outsider
to
making
tell
a movie.
the medium of film to tell it.
Yes. Whereas Land of the Dead was a movie, all of the others have been a snapshot of a certain group of people caught in extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
And Land was like bigger, and it was more of a, I mean,
It was the only one he made in the system.
Yeah.
think about it. It was, and not only that, think about what a huge cast there was, not just of actors, but of characters. This is the most people who have congregated together for an extended period of time in all of the movies, because you know, in Dawn, they're running away from the groups and they hole up, and then obviously they get raided by the bikers, but these are very small snapshots of small groups of people usually, and this was a much bigger scale.
I mean, like Land was the only movie he really did within the system. It was also the grandest in like scope.
Yeah.
There was the most amount of locations and cast, yada yada, like a traditional movie. That's probably why you empathize with most of his characters in the other movies. I mean, like case in point, like we all love, or most people love, the Avengers, but you don't like really connect with any of them. But if you watch Super, you're like, oh, I kind of understand these people.
Mm,
I mean, they're fucked up, but like it's more, it's this tinier group. It's more insular, and like what's happening with this small group of people that you're just like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. Which is why I think not that Land failed because it didn't, but why it feels out of place among Ramiro canon because it's it's a way wider picture you're trying to get into than like
yeah.
these small stories he's telling here. Not that
Yeah.
they're small, but anyways, I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense.
It sure did. Speaking of the cast, so it's a mixed bag, a fairly mixed bag of talent here. Some good, some okay, some not so okay. I think Elliot was probably my favorite character. Joey Dinicle, is it?
I agree.
Denny Cole. Um, I just really
Which
like the
one? Sorry.
character Elliot.
Elliot.
Oh yeah.
I like the character. I like the performance. It was all there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more than anyone else. I thought that Ridley was really good,
Mm-hmm.
but was also somewhat uh, melodramatic in the
Mm-hmm.
performance. Like it worked for me. It didn't ruin the performance for me, but it felt a little over the top at times.
Yeah.
That
I
was a
would
lot of
agree.
that was a lot of my problem. Like I have the utmost respect for any actor, but like the stage acting and film acting are wildly different
Two
beasts. And I don't
very
want to
different
speak too much
bags.
about this because I'm not one. It never was one and never will be one. But like the way I see it is stage acting, you have to project and sometimes over the top to it because there is a space between you and the audience
Yeah.
Oh,
because
100%.
they can't punch in and see your eyes.
Yeah. You're always
Like
performing for the person in the
It's
back row.
movement. Yes.
That's
It's
that's
more
exactly.
that's the
movement
rule.
than like yes, film acting, TV, it's more subtle because
Right.
you're exactly right. All of the small things can be picked up
Right.
by the lens.
I think which is what a lot of my trouble with Diary with the stage actors here was to me they had it too far dialed into stage acting for me.
Holy shit.
What?
What?
The girl who played Mary is Tatiana Maslany. The she's like what is she in? Like huge Orphan Black, I think she was
Oh,
very
Oh
fucking
yeah.
known for. Wow. I had
damn.
no idea. She was a good character. Um
Yeah. I mean, she was, and then she wasn't. You know.
That was the
There's
other thing. Like there was a lot of inconsistency.
oh
yeah.
Like there were
yeah.
some scenes I was like, oh, all right, actually this was actually pretty good, and then some scenes just like, okay, again, where's your memento mori skull? Like I get it. Like,
Yeah.
Mm,
isn't that what that's called?
um I don't know if it's called
Is
the
that
Memento Mori skull. I
maybe
mean, it's the Hamlet. Are you talking about the Hamlet skull?
yeah, the Hamlet skull where you're just like, and I don't know
I
Hamlet.
don't know.
Oh, Yorick. I mean, listen. As someone who came from a stage acting background, like I had a good solid run in the musical theater world. Like coming to Hollywood at 18 and never having been on camera. Oh fuck, man, that was a rude awakening to go into those first couple auditions like they were theater auditions, and you literally have to retrain your brain. Like if you've gone through only a theater chain like I did, man, fuck, that was really hard because you're boiling it all down. Like my first manager taught me like a great lesson, and basically he said like when you're on this 60 by 40 screen in the movie theater and this is all they're seeing right here in a 60 by 40 screen, this is where your performance has to live.
Mm-hmm.
And that really hit home. You know, we would work on those types of subtleties in performance, and it really helped ground a lot of roles moving forward. Ironically enough, a lot of the characters I was cast to play in shows were very over the top caricature type characters. So my theater background actually lent to that because they were big and loud and over the top. But it's not an easy thing to do, and I think some people can do it really well, and some people don't as well.
Yeah. Not everybody can make the switch. Some people
No.
are just theater actors. Some people are just film actors. Some people are both.
The really good ones are both.
Yeah.
I'm not calling myself a really good actor because I don't even know if I could get on a stage at this point. But
I am. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm amazing.
I'm really good.
That's true. Like what I'm saying, it kind of sounds like I'm shitting on theater actors. I'm not trying to do that.
You're
because,
not.
like,
You're just
if
you're
you-
talking
if-
about the difference.
Yeah, like if you threw a traditional film actor onto a stage, people would be like, they're fucking boring as shit. Like,
I can't.
and
Yeah.
they're not acting at all.
I mean, listen, there is merit in both 100% because in order to make somebody feel from fucking 25 rows up, like that takes talent.
Yeah.
Like they can't see your eyes, they can't see your tears, but you are emoting with your entire body, with your voice, with your delivery. So yes, both are incredibly valid. But there
Absolutely.
is a very big difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about that, but
Fair enough. I will go back to what you were saying, TJ. In my years here in Hollywood, I always try to liken it to, I can't remember which Jackass movie, and I know this is a weird analogy I'm about to make. One of the Jackass movies, they have a giant, like 18-foot hand that slaps people.
Oh yeah, I love that thing.
That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like you go into it and you're like, I'm a stage actor. I'm going to be the greatest film actor there ever was. And then Hollywood's like, fuck you, you are.
Dude.
Or you come in from like independent film and you're like, I was a gaffer, I was a cinematographer, I was also the actor, producer, and director. And you come in like, you're going to wipe frame as an extra.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, okay. Like Hollywood filmmaking is such a different thing from stage acting and independent filmmaking. It's
oh yeah,
crazy sauce.
I did one of my first commercials was for a community college down in Corpus Christi called Del Mar, and I did a commercial for it, and it was somebody was driving a Jeep, and two girls were in the back, and we were talking about school, and I was really excited, and I moved my head in a way that felt very natural in life, but I looked like a flipping bobblehead. Like I looked like I was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, it was so weird how it translated. It felt like it made sense at the time, and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, why didn't they tell me anything? Because I look like a moron. Excuse me. Now I'm choking on my own saliva.
This is a regular occurrence for you.
It is.
If only you weren't cast as girl choking on saliva, you'd be typecast. You'd be right. Right in the pocket.
I think
I'm going to cast myself in my own movie.
Mm-hmm. The only way to fix this is Dr. Pepper, and we need a sponsor.
We do desperately. Yeah. I mean, Glenn, I know you had some, and you still do some serious issues with the shaky cam.
Hate it.
I thought in this one, there was a lot of like whip pans.
Yeah.
But I feel like overall, like the cam wasn't terribly shaky in this one.
It wasn't.
Like it wasn't as bad as fucking. What did we watch?
What did we watch?
The Day of the Dead remake.
Oh yeah.
No, I
Glenn's
agree.
Begging the TV to stop.
Yeah, that camera never saw sticks or a dolly.
I mean, it did. Again, the worst shot. Anybody who wants to watch it again, and I don't recommend it. It's the scene where it might have been Oh, holy shit! I'm blanking on his name. Marcellus Wallace.
Bing Rames.
Thank you. Holy shit! How did I forget Ving Rhames' name? I am very embarrassed right now. Anyways, it's the scene where he's turned into a zombie, and I'm not sure it was actually him in the vent because I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I would.
There's
I
a
question
scene
it.
where or there's a shot where it's supposed to be shooting through the vent wall, and it literally the camera jostles like they fucked up.
Yeah.
Like the camera operator fell off of whatever device he was using, like a low hat or something, and they kept it in. And then they did it again, like his pan head had fucked up, and I was just like, it was literally a dude in a mask. Maybe it was Ving Rhames, maybe it wasn't. And like he walked past or crawled past, like they couldn't do another shot. It was just
They had very limited time with
Yeah.
him, Glenn. Come on.
Shot that whole movie in
if
6
if
hours.
it truly was Ving Rhames and they really only had 5 minutes to do that shot, okay, whatever. But shots like that showed up again and again. We're just like,
It did. Oh, it was rough. But
Yeah.
we're not here to talk about Day of the Dead, the remake.
But Diary of the
Yeah.
Dead didn't do that. It was shaky cam, and I get it. Like, I'm not harping on the shaky cam in that sense.
Don't harp
Because
on it.
it all felt natural for what they were doing in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that, but nothing was wrong about it.
Yeah.
If you've delved into the garbage bin of really bad horror movies that do shaky cam, you can tell that it's just they're trying to be bad about it, and you're just fuck off.
Oh god,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Diary of the Dead didn't do it. Cloverfield didn't do it. Europa Report or whatever other found horror movie you want to talk about, they don't do that. Anyways.
Anyways.
TJ,
Yeah, Denise.
what were some of your favorite moments in the movie?
Well, I'm a Scranton boy, so I enjoyed the
None of it
mention
because
of
it wasn't
Scranton.
shot there.
I enjoyed the mention of Scranton. That there was a character from Scranton. I appreciated that. I really
Are you
liked
upset that it didn't say Dunder Mifflin?
at the time when this came out, I didn't know what The Office was.
That's fair. Was that out?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was out yet, but regardless, I didn't watch The Office until it had been
I
off the air
think
for
so,
years.
because I think it didn't it ended in 208, 2008 or 9 or 10.
Yeah, I don't
208.
know.
Sorry, I interrupted. Shit.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah, I really like that. I like that it's a road movie. I like that out of the franchise, this is a true road movie. It's it's a cast of colorful characters making their way from point A to point B, and everything in between in an RV, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I like most of the characters, most of them. I'm not a huge fan of Deb, but I think the actor did a fine job portraying that character, if that's what was written. But I just wasn't a big fan of the character either. But yeah, overall, I think the best part of the movie to me was the Amish dude with the scythe.
Oh,
He
I love
was,
the Amish guy.
Yeah.
He was the man. What was his name? I'm trying to find it. It doesn't.
Was it
say.
Maxwell?
I don't
Was it
know.
Maxwell? I think it was Maxwell.
I don't know. Anyway, he was the best. Because
Oh no, that was the. I'm sorry, that was the professor. Carry on.
yeah, because what a badass! Like that dude was a fucking badass dude. Like just throwing sticks of dynamite. Like he didn't give a fuck.
Hell yeah.
Like
Mute.
scythe in hand, like ready to go, and then what a G. Like he knows he's gonna turn. Like he's done for. He's got a zombie on his neck, and he's like, fuck it, and just punches his own ticket with the scythe through the forehead, killing the zombie behind him,
Yeah.
and then turning profile to see that horrible CG shot of the scythe
Listen,
locked,
you can't have it all.
framed into position with the handle of the scythe bent inward ever so slightly, so it's scythe kind of like that. But I really like that part in the movie. It really made me smile, and big fan of that character.
Yeah, Farmer was R.D. Reed.
That
He's
was
got a
name.
name.
Farmer.
He's got a name
He
because
does.
he holds
Because
it
he
up.
writes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Here, let me see if I can look it up. And apparently they did shoot this in Canada. Holy crap.
Makes sense.
I'll go ahead and. I'm sorry. Were you?
D's looking stuff up. Go ahead, Glenn.
I'll go ahead and go with my favorite parts because I don't have many.
Yeah, this is our final thoughts section here too. In a second, we're wrapping this up soon.
Samuel.
That's it. Yeah,
that makes sense. Oh yeah, it was Samuel. I don't want to repeat TJ, but that was my favorite part as well. I grew up around, not directly in contact, but fairly close to an Amish community. They are truly badasses. I can't imagine living in the world that we live in the way they choose to live that way. Like, that's crazy to me. But it's awesome. I also liked him because he didn't talk. A lot of the characters in this movie. But he also truly was a badass. Like,
yeah.
That might be one of my favorite kills in all of the 5 Romero movies, when he, like, fuck it, himself and the dude and the zombie behind him. Like, that's
baller, dude.
G up from the knee up,
like,
man.
G capital $2 through it. G killing.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been done better without CG, but whatever.
And they could have too. That's the sad part. Like, they could have just as easily put a prosthetic on the back of that guy and it'd been fine.
Right.
That would have been fine.
I question if he was a true Amish person, had dynamite.
I don't know.
It's
that
possible.
I don't know.
Because they
didn't have it at the Pennsylvania Dutch Fair I would go to as a child.
That's true. They didn't have it at the fair that I went to in our little smaller, not Pennsylvania, but like Illinois community.
There was no dynamite throwing contests or anything like that.
Yes.
I used to know what year it was that the Amish, like, was the cutoff for them, and like they have it like a lot of Amish have like a true year of when, like, this is where we stop using technology from then on.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that time we had dynamite, which, like, could be real, that they would have had it. Though granted, like, dynamite of that time would have been probably insanely crazy. Like paper fuses instead of like firework fuses.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we would have had dynamite, which also makes him, like, even more badass, where it's just like, I don't know when this is going to explode.
Well,
and just
find that date, bro.
Just hucks it.
Like, it's like
So look it up.
1858 or something. I'll have to look it up.
Look it up, and then look up the time dynamite happened.
Sure. Okay. I will.
When did dynamite happen?
I mean, the Chinese invented black powder, like, way before then.
Yeah. It was.
I don't know.
Is it technically technology?
The creation of, if you can make it by hand, that should be fine, right? But putting everything else.
1867.
I also don't know exactly what their dogma is. Like, I know
1867.
I was fucking close. I don't know their dogma exactly. Like, I know they don't like zippers, which were invented before then. So I don't know, like, how dynamite would fall in that. But
so
whatever.
Convenient though.
They
are.
Anyway.
Anyway, Denise, your thoughts?
Character. Okay, moment. Yes, definitely scythe through the head. Hell yeah. I quite enjoyed Tracy saying, "You know what? You're not going to help me out. Screw you." And it was kind of cute the way she was like, "I'm taking the car. You can have the house."
That's it.
Her accent was a little much, but I'm sure it exists in some parts.
Did she mess with Texas, D? Did she cross
Maybe-
the line and mess with Texas?
I don't know. And then for sure, I really appreciated, which we saw later in Scream 4, the paddle kill. I thought that was fun. The CG wasn't great, but I thought it was a really kind of cool way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, CG was not great. But yeah, a very interesting spot in the movie, I think, for that. Well, I think it seems like a good time to close things out. I definitely think for like lightning round last thoughts, go watch it. It's really fun. It's really inspiring if you're a horror fan who wants to try your hand at making movies. You don't need big expensive cameras. Just nowadays you can shoot a movie on a fucking iPhone if you got a good enough one. So go out and make something,
Steven
Go do
Soderbergh.
Yeah, exactly. D, Glenn, any lightning round final thoughts?
I would definitely say watch it. I mean, I watch it over and over. Not as much as some of the other ones, but I do, and I did for a stretch watch it because it was, like you said, very inspiring. It's fun, and it's a nice additional look in a peek into the brilliance of George Romero.
Yeah. Glenn?
That's good. No, I agree. It's definitely worth watching. It's not one you should skip. If I was going to do some sort of weird order of watching the Romero Dead verse,
Love this.
I would say do Night first, because it truly started it, and then do Diary, because it's basically Night again, but in the modern time.
Yeah.
And then do them in order, and then do
Dawn Dayland.
Dawn Dayland. I agree with TJ. It's definitely, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, watch it, because it is very inspiring in that way, and very satisfactory in that light. Yeah, and then watch the unrated version of everything else.
And that's it. That wraps up our July of the Living Dead celebration of one George A. Romero. Rest in
Master
peace,
George A. Romero.
You masterful father of zombies and all around good human dude. What a fun month it's been. What a
really cool.
good time
It was.
to go through some of our favorite movies and some of our not favorite movies. But this was big fun. Thanks to everybody at home who stuck with us for the month and celebrated these awesome zombie movies. And
cheers to you guys. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. And we'll be back next week. We're gonna pick up where we left off with Vamp. It's my pick. We're gonna do Vamp. Going from zombies to vampires. Oh boy, this is a weird one. It's a weird vampire movie. Strap in, everybody.
What a fucking left turn we're taking.
Yeah, a hard left turn.
Oh man.
Schedule's still a little wonky. We're in the middle of another move, so it's been a little crazy. But let's see. Next week we should be back up. I don't know. I don't think we'll have a bonus round next week, but we will have a Dead by Daylight. That is for sure. With the button not working. There we go. Dead by Daylight Wednesday night, 7:30. Oh yeah, Grace Jones in that movie is the exact word I would use, is iconic. And then we'll be back with Blood
Not
and
just that
Popcorn
movie, period.
Friday night to watch Vamp. Tomorrow night there'll be no This Show is Cursed, but we should be back next week, Davis and I, for another This Show is Cursed. And that's the show. Gang, we did it. Another Blood and Popcorn in the can. Big shout out to the man, George Romero, for all the amazing stories and the amazing zombies and movies and blood and gore and guts and fun. Thanks to everybody in chat for hanging out. And sorry for the folks that weren't cool in chat earlier, but we got rid of them. And that's what we're going to keep doing. Don't bring that kind of negativity into our house. You will see the boot and you will see the door.
But you can be funny and crass with us, but there's a fucking limit. There's a limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't start using fucking racial slurs and bigotry. That's just not going to fly.
No.
10 out of 10 times not going to fly here. So, yeah. thanks all for being here. Does anybody have a fun? I think I did the last one. I think I did last week's, right? Aim for the head. Does anybody have a fun zombie themed exit to the show? Oh, let's talk about where we can find people. Yeah, good call, Mac Morton. If you'd like to see these kids more, Denise, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Denise Pantoja on the socials and Twitch, and I am the Demogorgon on TikTok.
Very nice. Glenn, what about you, ma'am?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Odd Movie Master. If you want to watch me infrequently post about food, it's my name, Glenn, 2 N's _ Akers with a K, ERS _. There'll be more of that in August. But other than that, what about you, TJ?
Oh, you can find me at TJ Rotell, wherever popular internets are sold. Gang, what a fun night. Fun Friday night. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Denise,
Yes.
take us home.
Oh.
Putting you on the spot.
If you are with loved ones and you're bitten, make sure to let them know.
That's right. Do the right thing. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. And we'll see you next time. Good night.